The group started meeting once a month at the Casula Powerhouse Museum near Liverpool for the first couple of years, and they then had to move. Our DACC premises in Smithfield, at the back of the Dutch shop there, was definitely too small, and it's also overloaded with heritage items, so there was no room. So after that, Mrs. Lauder conducted the workshops at her own house in Epping. There was also once a month initially, but as they were getting near to the deadline, which was December 2011 for Coffs Harbour, they met more often, sometimes 3 times a month. Later there were also additional volunteers from Newcastle, and I've seen some of these people here. They travelled to Buff Point. Agnes Jonkind kindly opened her house for the group to be able to work there. There were also a couple of volunteers from Bowral, who I have also seen here already. The project manager went to talk to them several times, but most of the time they came to Epping for the workshops. And 3 volunteers came from the Blue Mountains. We hope that you enjoy the excellent, interesting work that's displayed here, that it brings you back to the Dutch environment of, well, even from about 1900, but certainly immediately after the World War years. And you will see some typical provincial scenes, some typical house interiors and folk dresses of those times. And the marionettes, of course, are fantastic. And perhaps you can say that they are timeless. There are still quite a few areas in the Netherlands where similar costumes are being worn. Dutch-Australian history is Australian history as well. And we are involved and keen to promote more than that, what you see here today. The Dutch contacts with Australia started in 1606, and many more occurred during all of the 17th century. We hope to celebrate that again in 2016, when it is 400 years ago that Dirk Hartog arrived at what later became known as Hartog Island, and raised his famous pewter plate on a pole. That pole was rediscovered by Willem de Vlaming in 1698, 92 years later, when exploring and mapping much of the west coast of Australia. There really is also a lot more to tell about remarkable Dutch-born individuals who settled here prior to 1940. We need to hold another exhibition really about all that, perhaps in 2016. In the DACC we collect all Dutch migrant experiences, photos, records of activities, writings, but also older items of heritage interest. We also have of post-war and today's the Netherlands. When you are there in the DACC, suddenly, for a short while, you are in a different world. In a country where some of you or your parents came from, where the Queen says, well, I'm 75 now, and if you don't mind, I'm retiring now. You've seen all that in the papers the last few days, and the Australians are saying, what a great idea, St. George. We hope so. And she also said, my son, well prepared, who was here too, of course, in 2006, in his mid-40s now, will take over. We had a man in his 60s here recently in the DACC, a couple of weeks ago. He was there with his family of 6, who became seriously homesick as I was talking to him about the canal trips in Amsterdam, and the Keukenhof, and the Delta Works, and the Afsluitdijk, and how we organize Schulen sometimes, Schulen events, the shuffleboards. The family went to have lunch in the cafe, you know, in het winkeltje van Sinkeltje, but he remained in our center. He just kept on talking, and he wanted to know more and more. So after a little while, his Australian wife called him back and said that the croquettes were getting cold. And I asked him, how often have you been back in the Netherlands? He said, well, I've been here 40 years and I've been back twice. So I convinced him there was time to go again. And I believe he booked the flights the next day. So he was very emotional. I had to hand him the tissues at one stage.
Frances and I met each other in 2002, I think it was, at Casula Powerhouse Art Centre. And at the time I was I think I was either the education officer or the media officer, because I've done a few things there. And Frances was, again, working on a really big project called the Odyssey Quilt Project there, which I believe has gone on to do bigger and better things. And what really astounded with me was the amount of passion and dedication and the sheer amount of work that both herself and the people who are involved in the project. She always came across to me as being a really beautiful, stylish lady. Of course, you can see she looks fantastic today. And her enthusiasm and her energy has not wavered in these nearly 11 years since then. She looks just as young and beautiful then, and full of energy as well. I heard that she's going to be starting some postgraduate studies fairly soon, so I'd like to wish you well with that. And I'd also like to wish you well with this exhibition and with any future exhibition spaces that you get for it. So can you please put your hands together for Frances Larder.
Thanks for that, Carmen. That's lovely. Now I've got it's my turn. Barmans, Joe Binkhorst, Vera Rado, Frances Widditz, also Corey Ruda, Mary Hartnett, and Martha Opry. I hope I haven't left anybody out. The cross-stitch wall hangings were Lucia Fox, Agnes Youngkind, who also very kindly opened her house for us to spend once a month there to work on the project, Olga Ashford, Rachel Sargent, Gerard Wood, and Rita Verstegen. Martin, where are we? On the marionettes, we had Gerarde Zirkzee, who did a wonderful job with the costumes, organising everybody, and without her big help, I wouldn't have known how we could have got through it. Mary Hartnett, Gerarde Wood, Rachel Sargent, Hermina Williams, Yvonne Chapman, Vera Rado, Olga Ashford, Anne Note, who was then Anne Dijkman, and Agnes Youngkind. I feel very privileged and lucky to have had such a great group working with me these past 5 years. To you all, a very big thank you. And for all the support that you have given me through all the years since I've been working on this project. Also I'd like to Fairfield City Council for letting us have this exhibition here at the Fairfield Regional Galleries, and Councillor George Booker. Great job on putting this all on display. Also a big thank you to Jan and Mia Joosten for opening their home, allowing us to store the project at their house over the last 12 months. We really appreciate what you have done for us. The Federation funded the insurance while it was stored at Joosten's residence. We also appreciated their support. Many thanks. It's wonderful to see such a big turn at our opening, and we thank you all for coming. Last but not least, I would like to thank my family for their continual support, and especially my son-in-law Greg for helping me to transport the project to Fairfield. And I'm happy to announce that this project has been accepted by the Bonegilla Museum as part of their permanent collection. It's a very suitable home for it, as some of us started our life from Camp Bonegilla and have hold a lot of memories for all of us. Hope you will all enjoy the exhibition as you step back in time, experience some of the culture and history of the Dutch people. Thank you.
Thank you, Frances. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. We've just got a few little gifts to give out.
It's my studio. I did all my printmaking in here.
And do you reckon Australians know enough about Holland?
No, nothing.
Don't blame the school teachers.
I can see Frances in this because that's how her doors are. They are exactly like this, you know.
It'll be good when it's all done.